Welcome back. Award-winning celebrity chef Siba Mtongana continues to make strides in the industry. Siba, the restaurant, is now an independent permanent fixture at the Sun International's Table Bay Hotel. That's where she offers her unique recipes with both international as well as African flavors. She joins us now from Cape Town. Chef Siba, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. A very good morning. I mean, first of all, congratulations to be able to sustain such, magnificence, especially during a COVID-19 pandemic that really had a serious threat on the hospitality industry, and here you are reaching stride after stride after stride. What do you attribute this success to?
I would first I need to say yay. I'm super happy. I need to attribute to the success. For me, it's God who gives me the sustenance whenever I'm feeling down as an entrepreneur throughout the year with the challenges of having opened a restaurant in COVID. However, have been highly successful, I'd call it. I also want to attribute it to, the passion and the drive and the ambition that I have, where, I love challenges, and to be able to, to run after my dreams and put them into life is really something amazing. But I can't leave this question without speaking about my team, who are absolutely incredible, whom I've trained over the past year and a bit to embody who I am in terms of excellence, in terms of serving and loving people, and putting the most amazing dishes of food. I'm with them in the kitchen on a daily basis, and I'm with them on front of house, and we keep on pushing. Team, I love you guys. Let's carry on pushing.
No, look, it's certainly a reason to celebrate, and more than anything else is looking at how many black African women are within this industry but are able then to sustain themselves in this industry and build what I would call an empire. Because ultimately, I think if we're going to be entrepreneurs and we're going to be successful entrepreneurs at that, it's about how much value can we add into the greater discourse. Let's talk a little bit about some of the learnings that you've actually encountered along the way, because Rome was not built in a day, and I still remember the times when you were actually, within the cooking shows, and you were still, still significantly large on the television medium before even opening up the restaurant in itself. There definitely were some milestones and some learnings, and I can imagine even challenges. Let's talk a little bit about some of those learnings and challenges that you've encountered along this journey.
I think part of the learnings in my journey is having to really have the confidence to believe in myself when even others at oftentimes don't, and be able to listen to my inner gut feel, which I call the God nudges, and go for it whenever, the time is set for that. I do believe there's a time and period for things, so it's very important to ensure that you do it within that specific time so that you don't miss the wave or whatever the impact it would have been. Opening up on COVID was not easy, but I knew for me it was my time, and should I have missed it, perhaps it would not have had the same impact. Opening a restaurant would not have had the same impact as it did when you opened at that time. Other challenges, it's, entrepreneurship is not all glitz and glam. May look beautiful today, woke up and made myself up, for this interview. However, the behind the scenes are not always the easiest. When you don't have sufficient money to, to cover all your costs, and you have to work harder on your other business streams of income to ensure that some things are covered. Nobody sees those days, nobody sees those challenges. And it's very important that we be transparent enough so that the youngsters who come after me don't think that it's all easy, and they know that, those are some of the challenges that'll come true. And some of the things, for instance, is that you work hard, and it's so lovely when you are acknowledged through awards, etc. But there'll be times where you are not acknowledged, and you should keep your head up high even in those situations, understanding that your vision is yours. So when people see it or when people don't see it, sometimes actually it doesn't matter, as long as you just keep forging, because ultimately they will. And once they do, the entire world would have also seen it as well. So I think you need a very strong sustenance internally within yourself, where you push yourself without being pushed. And I'm very grateful to be a woman of strong faith, because that for me is the thing that propels me forward. I believe ourselves to be a force We believe ourselves to be a force, and we really want to do great things in this industry and employ more people as well, because that's at the very heart of Siba, of the Siba Code.
Yeah, to be able to push through, as you said, some of those challenges to get to where you are right now, it also requires you to have an in-depth understanding of the palate. I want us to talk a little bit about the palate here, because apart from the experiences, the reason why people come back to any form of restaurant is because of the food, right? If the food is good, you know that you're going to be full. How do you know? Right? How do you know that this thing that I've created here, as colorful as it may be, is what is good for the palate? Because palates are different, tastes are different, guests are different. They come from different diverse backgrounds and the like. How do you know, and how have you found the sweet spot of the human palate?
I've been privileged enough to cook for people for a very, very long time. I've cooked for the president for his inauguration. I've cooked for very big people, and I've also cooked and given recipes to people on a regular basis where people can replicate the recipes. And over time, I've seen what works. I've seen what magic when it comes to recipes, what really works, not only for a certain market, which could be black or white or Indian, etc., but across board. And I think that experience has really been so instrumental in me being able to curate exactly what I know my market, which is very diverse, wants and needs. And and it's time. It takes a lot of curation, it takes a lot of tasting, it takes a lot of having to bring people over to come and taste and see if whether do they like this, do they not like this, what inputs and so on. And even after they've given all the inputs, if I still feel that this one for me is the one, then I'll go for it. Because if I like it, the chances are majority of people will like it as well. I have a very trained palate and I'm very well traveled. So, that experience is one way you call it a privilege to understand beyond norm.
Yeah, and I want to be able to hone in on that a little bit, because as you're saying, there's going to be generations of chefs that are coming up. But if they don't have the diverse knowledge and they do not have the experiential knowledge of what the palate needs, then a lot of them will fall by the wayside, right? If you could give them advice in terms of how do you then start understanding the human palate, because again, you're cooking for the human palate here. How do you start understanding? How do you start being able to diversify even taste buds, right? Because some will say, I'm cooking purely for black people, I'm cooking purely for Europeans, I'm cooking purely for Caucasians, and then they miss out on the opportunity to be inclusive, right? So what advice would you be for those that are trying to still discover that human palate, or the sweet spot of the human palate?
I would say it starts with them. As a chef, it starts with me. If I'm going to say when I'm in Copenhagen, I don't eat whatever, that may be their specialty there. If I say when I'm in Dubai, I don't eat whatever is their specialty, or Russia, or wherever else in the world, and I don't need to have traveled to those places in order for me to experience their cuisine. We've got an array of cookbooks and so much on the digital space and the web in order for us to expose ourselves to the food and the world of food cuisines and culture. So if you say you don't eat certain things, you've already closed yourself off to so many things. So as a chef, the one thing I always advise is you must eat everything. You must eat everything. I come from the Eastern Cape, but I love mopane worms because I've trained my tongue into enjoying it. And I do know that most Eastern Capers will go like, yes, because it's not something that we grew up with,
Yeah.
So you have to be able to train your palate and your tongue to be more diverse. And once you've done that, understand the different cuisines around the world and then be able to put your own spin onto it to bring it home. That's what I've done in order to ensure that there's so much resonance with my food, because it becomes a familiar palate to the majority of people that are not local. But at the same time, it's like the locals will go like, oh, wow, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know that you could take such a simple staple like my samp risotto, for instance. Take samp, make it into a beautiful risotto with creamy mushrooms. It's really rich. Most people from the restaurant have said it's going to Harvard University. It's gone beyond private school, which we really appreciate those compliments. So be able to take simple things and then expand it with who you are. So I'd say that.
Siba, congratulations once again. We have to leave it here for this morning, but all the best. I know that the sky is just the beginning for you, as well as what you're aiming to do with Siba & Co. Award-winning celebrity chef Siba Mtongana joining us this morning.